Good morning, everyone. I'm excited to see you again. I've had a really fun week. I hope you have too. We have a really exciting topic today. It is about creating a strategy. And the reason I'm excited about this is because this is actually the catalyst that helps get you moving in the direction you need to go. If you don't know how to create a strategy or you just haven't taken the time to do it, then what happens is you don't really have a direction. And you just kind of keep doing all these different things. You find yourself going in one direction and then you go in another direction and you don't really accomplish a lot. Let me give you an example in my business. Things were going great. I had created strategies and I felt like I was doing great and I had hit presidential. So of course that was a worthy goal and I was excited and that was all well and good. But then what happened was it turned into me spending all my time managing, helping my leaders who were already big leaders. I realized that I hadn't set expectations properly to help them move on their own, partly because it was exciting. It was exciting to be part of it. And you become great friends and you want to do stuff together. But if I really wanted to grow my business even more, then what happens is I need to get out of that management mode and figure out how I can go down the path I want to go. Because I want to keep helping the leaders that I have existing, but I also want to help brand new leaders. And whether that's going down deep into my organization and working with someone who doesn't have an upline that's building doTERRA and they need help, or I'm starting a new leg for my double presidential. So it's very important that you learn how the steps to create a strategy. And you know what? It's really, really simple. So we're going to walk through that a little bit and we'll go through this a little bit quickly, but I'm going to give you some challenges by the time we're done. Okay, so let's get this started. And I want to talk about the very first things you do to create a strategy and why a strategy is so important. Think about when you go on a trip. When you go on a trip, if you don't make any plans, if you don't look at the map, if you don't look, figure it out on your phone or print out the directions or have your GPS, you don't even know where you're going. You can imagine that your trip might end up kind of frustrating. And it'll also cause a lot more problems. It will end up costing you a lot more than it would have if you had made a plan. So what you normally do is you look at a map. You figure out where you want to go. Gee, I want to go to London. Gee, I want to go to China. Wherever it is you've decided you want to go. And then you start looking at the options for getting there. Because if you want to go to China and you'd like to go on a boat, then that's great. But if you don't stop and plan and realize, oh, I don't have 5 weeks I can take off of work, then maybe that will be a problem for you. So all of the details you start thinking about, but realize if you don't even look at the map, you kind of fly by the seat of your pants. But once you start looking at the map, then your mind starts getting ideas. It's really interesting because your mind is getting lots and lots of information all the time. Millions of pieces of information are coming into your mind every day. And your mind just takes it in until you decide a goal. Once you have a goal, then all of a sudden, all those millions of pieces of information, your mind goes, oh, okay, now I have something that I can use that information for. So you will be amazed. That's why they say write down your goals. That's why they say set a goal. That's why they say review your goals every week or every day or whatever it is. When you've achieved a goal, set a new one. That's exactly why. Because your mind will figure out a way to make that goal happen if you have set the goal and if you're serious about it. So once you've looked at your map and you've made some plans, you've got to plan what you're going to take. And this is what it looks like when I go on a vacation. When I travel for doTERRA, oh man, I have the smallest suitcases and I am quick and I've got my stuff ready and all I need is 2 outfits or whatever and it is quick. But vacation, this is what I like to do. So you've got to make sure you have your passport or whatever information you need for your idea. You got to get your tickets. You got to make sure you have money. And you got to make sure you get the money for the other country or whatever it is that you need to do. You need to make sure that what you say you want is truly aligned with your vision. Because you might say, oh my goodness, I really want to go to England. But then every time you have any money, you spend it on clothes. So you never have money to go to England. Well, if you really want to go to England, you make this goal and you make a list of a few things that you need to do in order to get there. And one of them will be how much money you need to have. And you'll start to take action based on what you say you want. So be true to your vision and refer to it often. Something that was very powerful to me was an interview that was done with Michael Jordan. years and years ago. And the interviewer asked him, he said, so what do you say to all these people who say they wish they want to play like you, they want to be as good as you in basketball? And you want to know what he said? He said, I think in a moment of feeling like, really, if you really want it, then do something about it. And he said, you know what? They don't really want to play like me. Because if they wanted to play like me, they would get up at 5 a.m. and do 200 free throws and 100 3-point shots. And they would dribble and practice running and spend hours and hours every day. People say they wish they want something, but when you really want something, you start taking action to make it happen. Okay, so let's talk about your strategic goals. Because you can say, I want to go to England, but if you just say, well, I want to travel, oh, I wish I could travel, then that's not going to be as powerful as deciding what you want to do. I want to travel, that sounds exciting and it's very ambiguous. But if I want to go to England, or I want one of the places that I haven't been yet that I really want to go is Spain. So guess what happens? I look up pictures of Spain. I talk to people about Spain. When I was in London last week, we met a guy who, that was in Romania. We were talking to a gentleman who was from Portugal. And he knew a lot about Spain. He'd lived there. So I started asking him a million questions. Now, if I didn't have a specific goal that I want to go to Spain, do you think I would have thought to ask him that? I might have said, tell me about your family, or where are you from? A lot more shallow information I would have gathered, which would have been fun. And that's great. It's a great thing to do. But what happens when you really set a specific goal, you start to think things differently. You start to discover things differently. And your mind starts to prepare and take steps to make it happen. So create your own first. You've got to have a goal. And if you're thinking in terms of a team or a family or any more than one person, you've got to have your own goals first. So my husband and I, for example, we are working the business together now in doTERRA. He has sold his dental practice, and he'll be working maybe once a week as a dentist in China when we move there. But what's going to happen is we've been going over the business, and we both have goals. And guess what? I have some serious, massive goals with doTERRA. But do you think Roger has some goals too? He does. Roger has some goals, and he has things that he wants to achieve, and they have nothing to do with what I want to do. But I've been doing it for a while, so it would be easy for me to go, oh, okay, Roger, come on in, and you can help me with my goals. Do you think that's very effective? It won't be very effective for him because he doesn't have a dream. He's not invested. It's exciting, and there are some of the pieces that he loves, but let me tell you what we have been working really hard to do. We have a meeting at least once a week where we talk about the business in general and what we want in our business. And we've gone over the list of things, all the things that need to be done in our business and all the things that need to be taken care of and the things that we really want to be in charge of. And so we each have taken the things that we love and we say, okay, I'll be in charge of this. He wants to be in charge of that. And then there are a few things that we both want because we love it. We want to be part of it. And so we share those. So if it's something that I'm in charge of, then when we have our business meeting, I tell him my goals and my plans and my strategy, what I want to do. We figure out the best strategy to get there. And we do that with his as well. And the ones that we both are in charge of, what happens is we come with both of our goals. He has goals that might be completely different than mine. I might want 500 enrollments a month. He wants to make sure that we take good care of our leaders. So we might have completely different goals, but do you think that as we work together and come up with a strategy that we can implement something that will help both of us reach our goals? We absolutely can. So you see, that's why it's important that you do your goals first. Make sure you have your own goals and don't try to set your goals for what you think everyone else wants. These need to be your own goals. Remember, they have to be in alignment with your vision. If you say, I want to hit presidential in doTERRA, then are the goals that you're setting something that's going to get you there? If your goals are, I love to have people on here who aren't necessarily building doTERRA. So I like to make sure that they get to learn things for implementation in their own lives as well. So for example, with your family, if you want to set goals with your family or with your kids, let's say you have a child that you're not getting along with very well, set some goals and decide some things that you want to do. I want to have a better relationship with my son. I want to be able to have conversations with him where we don't get agitated. Whatever your goals are. And then when you talk with your son, you can talk about the relationship and say, hey, these are some goals that I set because I'd like to have a better relationship. And I want to treat you with more respect. So notice how when I share my goal, I'm not telling him how I want you to get in alignment with my goal. I'm helping him understand how it's going to be win-win. I'm helping him see how, because of my goal, it's going to help him get what he wants. Because isn't that what we're doing? Isn't that the whole goal of anything we do in this life, is helping each other to take a step up, right? So if I go to him and say, hey, I have a goal to have a better relationship, so you need to start treating me better because you haven't been respectful. Well, guess what? How well do you think that's going to work? Not, okay? I'm going to go to him and say, hey, I have a goal that I really want to have a better relationship with you. And I know there are times I'm not respectful of you, and I know sometimes we get in arguments. Notice how I'm taking responsibility for my stuff. And he is a child, so sometimes I need to make him accountable for the things that he's doing. But notice how the first thing I say is the positive, the things that are going to help him. And I say, and I'd like to work something out so that you want to be respectful of me, because sometimes that doesn't happen. So you see how that's different? You can imagine how you can do that with your leaders on your team. Okay, you can have rank goals, you can have income goals, you can have goals about how you'll interact with your team. You might have goals about unity and how you work together, goals for convention. Getting aligned with your other team leaders, finding out one of my goals might be, I want to do a better job finding out what my leaders' goals are so that I can help them achieve their goals. I'll tell you what, when you hit larger ranks, then all of a sudden your goals are trying to help your leaders hit their ranks, okay? Now, always, always have this in the back of your mind. Does your vision and your strategy align? So every time, so for example, you set your goal, you know what your goal is. And you know what your vision is. My goal might be, I want to have a better relationship with my son. My vision is, I want to have a loving family. So it's an overarching thing. It's something bigger than me. My goal might be about something that I want, but the vision is usually bigger than you. So I want to have a loving family. I want to be a good example. Those kinds of things. Those might be my vision. But then the goal is, I want to have a better relationship with my son. Or I want to have a better relationship with my husband. I want to quit being so negative when my husband comes up with ideas. Or whatever it is, my leaders, my doTERRA team, whatever it is. So what I want you to do is I want you to think about that. And I want you to go by that. So when you're deciding, every time you decide on a step for your strategy, what I want you to do is keep looking back. Okay, is that going to help me reach my vision? Is that going to help me reach my vision? If it isn't, then you need to relook at your strategy, okay? And you need to have a positive attitude. Positive can-do attitude. Yes, great. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? Don't, after you have your strategy, do you then go, okay, well, nothing's happening because my leaders won't do what they're supposed to. My upline isn't helping me. doTERRA won't let me sell online. Well, is that how it's going to help you work? No. Do you think that if I've got an attitude teenager who is, having a hard time being appropriate with me, do you think that if I say, well, he's not being good, he's not having a good attitude, so guess what? There's nothing I can do about it. I've done everything I can. No, there's always, always something more you can do. If you find yourself going, well, I've already done that. And you'll hear me say this. Some of you have heard me. Those of you who've seen some of my other trainings, I kind of go on about this. I get on my soapbox. Do not catch yourself saying, oh, I've already tried that. Oh, I've already tried that. I already did that. Yeah, that didn't work. Because I can guarantee you right now, if someone who has more experience than you, who has had success in that area, and they're trying to teach you something, if you catch yourself saying, oh, I've already done that, or I already tried that, it just didn't work, and you close your mind, I guarantee you right now, you may have done it, but you didn't do it in the right way. There might be a different way to do kind of what you've already tried. Because someone could say, oh, well, you could talk to your son. I could say, oh, well, I've already tried that. He won't listen. Well, if you were to hear the recording of me talking to my son, and if my conversation looked something like this, honey, I'm not going to tolerate this kind of behavior anymore. Notice how I'm being really nice. And everything I'm saying is totally true and accurate. And I have a right to be respected as a parent. And I'm not going to tolerate that anymore. And so if you're not going to be respectful, you're going to lose your privileges. So you see how I could do that. But do you think I'm going to get the result I want? But when all of a sudden I care more about the other person than I care about me, because what did that conversation sound like? That conversation was me caring about getting what I wanted, and you better start respecting me, because if you're not respecting me, then guess what? I have control over you. So ultimately, I'm being an emotional bully. But what I need to do is I need to make it win-win. Care more about him than I care about me. Okay, if I'm caring more about him, I'm thinking, okay, he is not feeling like respecting me. And the only time that happens is when they don't feel respected, they don't feel like you listen to them, or they have not been disciplined well, so they think they can get away with whatever they want and they're very selfish. And it could be all three. But I'll tell you what, every person has goodness in them. So find the goodness, find a way to help them. And you can do that with your teams too. As you create your strategy and you start working with your team, you'll be amazed at what happens, okay? You need to identify critical success factors. And what do I mean by that? It means there are certain things that matter that you can use to gauge your progress. So if I were to ask you, okay, so just make sure that you watch when all of your bottles have labels on them. Is that a critical success factor? No. If you have labels on your bottles or not, that's not going to be the determining factor whether you succeed or you don't. Whether your leaders are hitting rank, that's a critical success factor. And you'll find your own. Is your volume increasing? If it's not, then that's something you can identify, okay? Something that isn't a critical success factor is, I'm friends with all my leaders. Am I being friends with all my leaders? Whether that answer is yes or no, that has nothing to do with whether you're going to, well, that's not true. It has to do with whether you're going to be successful, but that's not a critical success factor that you can measure that tells you, okay, this is something that is making your business grow. Now, whether or not any of your leaders are doing anything, are your leaders enrolling? Now, that is a critical success factor. Now, as you get into that critical success factor, you might find that the reason they're not enrolling is because there's bad blood between people, or because people have hurt feelings or whatever. So that's when you get into that piece of it. But the critical success factor is a measurable item that you can watch to decide if you are being successful in reaching your goals. Okay, people getting on LRP. How many? Do you have more and more people getting on LRP? How many enrollments do you have? Are you finding new builders? Is your retention getting better? You can have long-term goals. You can have short-term goals. Decide what those goals are. But then no matter how far out you reach, I might say, I want to be double presidential by such and such a year. But I need to have incremental goals that are shorter. Okay, break those goals down. Have a long-term vision. Decide what you're going to do this year. Then decide what you're going to do for convention. You might decide, I want to do recognition. I want to do some year-end gifts. I want to do something special for my leaders or do something with my leaders. Then you've got to have monthly goals, weekly goals.
Hi there, look. Did that dog just say hi there?
Oh, yes. My name is Doug. I have just met you, and I love you. My master made me this collar. He is a good and smart master, and he made me this collar so that I may talk. Squirrel!
Okay, the reason I show you that is because, did you notice how quickly he gets distracted? If you've seen that movie, every time something's happening, he gets distracted. He's talking and talking, squirrel, squirrel, every time he sees a squirrel. Do you do that with Facebook? Do you do that with your social media? Do you do that with your friends? Did you decide that you had a goal and you were going to do certain things, you created a strategy, and then you leave it alone because something else comes up? If you keep getting distracted and let that happen, you are giving your dream away. You're giving it to someone else. So don't let that happen. Make sure that you follow it. You stay excited about what you're doing, okay? I want to show you an analogy. I'm just going to kind of end with this, and we'll finish with a couple of things. Notice how both of these jars have the same amount of rocks and the same amount of sand. But notice in the jar on the left, the sand represents in both jars, the sand represents the little things, all the hundreds of little things that you have to do every day. You've got to put your shoes on. You got to label your bottles. You got to, all those things. You got to drive your kids to school. But the rocks are the really important things, like spending time with your kids or making sure you follow up with the people that you talked to. Okay. Those are the things that are really important. But notice if you put all the little sand, the little pieces in there first, there's not enough room for all the rocks. But if you put all the important things in first, make sure those get done, it's very interesting how all of the little things fall into place and you end up having room for all of those. What you need to decide is it important and urgent? Is it important and not urgent? Is it not important but urgent? You kind of use this quadrant. This is something that Covey came up with. And it is amazing. It helps you start to figure out, as you look through the items that you need to do, you decide what quadrant do those go in. And you'll start to realize sometimes how many fires you're putting out. You might spend most of your time doing things that are not important, but they're urgent because they have to get done, but you waited too long. And this is my final thing I want to show you. This has changed my life, and it has changed the life of many of my leaders. And we have this on my website, teresaharding.com, and it is in the resources. There are a lot of free resources on there that you can access. This is one of those. You're welcome to print it off. And I would recommend printing it off on cardstock so that you have something sturdy to take with you. And what you do is, this is a way to create balance, to figure out how you're going to fit everything in. So what you do is you notice these lines at the top of the page right here. Okay, these lines, you write in everything that's important. It's not what's important for Wednesday, it's anything that's important. So if for me, spending time with Roger is important, I put it in one of the lines. Spending time reading is important, I put it in the line. Personal development, time with my church calling, time with my kids, every single thing that is important, I put it there. And this is a way that you can gauge it. If it's something that in 5 years, if you had never done it, would you regret it? In 5 years, if you had never gone to church, would you regret that? In 5 years, if you had never spent time with your kids, would you regret that? Because some people have a hard time gauging, well, I can give that, I can sacrifice that for a little while. No, if it's something that you would regret, you put it up there. And then what you do is you put all the important things in here. You fill it all in, working out, making sure I have physical activity, time with my friends, whatever it is. Once all of those things are in there, and of course keeping in mind that you want to do doTERRA, then you put in your doTERRA time. And you can itemize it as much as you need. From 10 to 11 on every day of the week, those are the days that I make phone calls. Those are the days I call back my leaders. From 2 to 4 every day, that's when I do my mentor calls. Whatever it is that you need to do, that's what you fill in. And I will recommend, because I'm a big advocate of family first. And I'll tell you this. Every time I've had a leader who's been having trouble and feeling like they can't get their strategy right and things aren't going right and the kids are starting to act up or they're having trouble, you want to know what we do? We make sure that they have time with their family, that they spend time with their kids. I had one leader that we talked to, and her kids came home from school at 3 o'clock. So we told her from 3 o'clock on, we set it up so that never, ever was she allowed to be on the phone or do doTERRA after that time. And unless she was going away for a class, and her husband would have the kids. And it was unbelievable. Within a few days, the behavior of the kids completely changed. They needed her. It was a scenario where we're talking about the rocks, doing the rocks first, doing the important things first, and then filling it in with the other things. And you'd be amazed how much you can get done. So it's very exciting as you create a strategy. So take some time, plan time in your schedule. If the first thing you have to do is get the schedule and then write in when you're going to plan your strategy and set your goals, do that. Do a vision board. Do whatever is fun for you, but fill out this calendar and start following it. All right. You guys have a great day, and I am so excited that we got to do this. I am very excited about next week, because we are going to take a break from this 8-week course because we've had a lot of people who are requesting information about cancer. And many of you know I've been dealing with that. I have a surgery coming up in 2 weeks, and I've been feeling great. This is going to be a tough surgery, but I have learned a lot of information that I think can help a lot of people. And people are asking, so we are going to take a break for a week and do some information on cancer. I'll share with you some of the things that I've learned, the most powerful things I think you can do to help with what your doctors are trying to do to help you. And it is amazing. And I'll share with you some of the results that I got and an exact protocol. So see you next week. Have a great day, you guys.